Yep.
Has anybody ever been in a room and people start talking about a technology or a concept and they're just going through all these ideas and you just kind of hope that they don't call on you because you have no idea what they're talking about and that they're going to figure out that you don't belong there? Yeah, that's what I want to talk about today. That's that imposter syndrome. I think most of us get it. I know I certainly get it. If you don't get it, then I'm so happy for you, really. But for the rest of us that do get it, just a little about me. My name's Katie Wright. I'm mom to 3 amazing boys. I had to put that first because that's my most important role at the moment. I'm co-founder of Connect to Learn. I'm a senior software engineer at Otterlock, and I've been developing for 15 plus years. It's really hard to quantify though because I've been just trying to make computers do what I want since I was like 13. So in my experience with imposter syndrome, it would show up like feeling like every time I learned something new, I wasn't like, oh, what a wonderful thing I just learned. It was, how did you not already know that? Like, how is this new information? Feeling different from everyone else. If you feel different from your peers, if you're underrepresented or you just feel different, like you already stand out, that can make your imposter syndrome a lot worse. Comparing myself to brilliant people, we have a lot of brilliant people in this community, and it is really hard not to compare yourself. They're active on social media. I have a lot of brilliant colleagues. So that's always played a part. Pressure to excel in all areas when you're on your own. So in my career, I started as a solo developer. I was on my own, and there's a lot of pressure to know everything. You have to know the infrastructure, you have to do customer support, the design, everything. So there's a whole lot of pressure to that. And there's no support either. If you want support, you have to reach out to the community. And I remember going to Stack Overflow a few times and coming back feeling like I did not belong here. So then I wanted to find a team so that I could solve those problems. I wanted to be able to focus on what I want to do. I want to have support. And so I got that. My team actually flew up from Florida, so I have all the support I could need. But now I have to adjust to structure and accountability that I wasn't used to as my own. Unless you're like a nasty boss to yourself, you have to produce code for somebody else. So it was quite an adjustment. Lucky for me, I'm very stubborn, so I just came to terms with the fact that I suck at this, but I'm going to do it anyways because I loved it. And then I heard about imposter syndrome, and it kind of clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I have that. And then when I dug deeper, I figured out that I definitely have it, and I found some ways it can affect us. So I'm going to talk about what it is, why we don't want it, 2 ways that it kind of affects us in an obvious way, and 6 ways that it might sneak into our everyday without us even realizing it. So what is it? You can read the definition if you want, but it's basically when you feel like you're a fraud. You don't belong. You're in a group of people, and they're going to figure out at any moment that you don't belong there. And when you do something great, you're going to contribute it to something like luck, or you're going to kind of feel like you tricked them somehow. It's not the case. It was first coined in 1978 by psychologists Pauline Rode-Clance and Suzanne Imes. They were studying highly successful women in the 70s, so it's been around long before our industry really hit its stride. And it's definitely not specific to our industry by any means, but it kind of affects us harder than most for a few reasons. We have rapid technological changes, so everything is changing very quickly. The vastness of knowledge, it's not only just changing, it's growing and expanding. And there's pressure to learn. We want to be good at what we do, so we want to know all these things that are changing quickly and growing. In comparison to others, like I already touched on, there's so many brilliant people, and we get to see what they're working on. And we don't even take a moment to realize that that's like their niche, that's why they're wonderful at it. We just feel like we're not doing as good as they are. And there's a focus on measurable output. Not only do we want to learn all these things and be great at them, but we have to ship. We have code, we have products that we have to make. So that's why we have it so much harder than most. Why we don't want it. I mean, it doesn't feel good. Nobody wants to feel that way, but it actually has other things we need to watch out for. It contributes to burnout. People that have imposter syndrome will overwork to compensate. I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but it can contribute to burnout. It reduces the likelihood of obtaining a leadership role. If you don't feel like you're doing good in your current role, it's really hard to step into a new one. And it affects the way we work in ways we may not even realize. And I'm going to cover those. But first, I'm going to talk about the 2 places where you're probably going to feel like if you have it, you're going to feel like an imposter. It's pretty obvious. The first one is jumping into a new technology. You always have to crawl before you can walk. So when you jump into a new technology, you don't know anything about it yet, you're struggling, it doesn't feel good, but it's really important. Obviously, that's how we learn, that's how we grow. So maybe just reframe it and realize that, this is what we have to do. It's not that you're bad at it, it's just something new. And struggling with a problem, especially for me. Especially if you think that it should be a simple problem, because you can kind of prep yourself if you're about to dive into something that's really hard, but if you're like, I'm just going to do this quick little thing, and then you hit a wall, and then you struggle for a long time, that's really when your imposter syndrome can sink in and you start to feel like they're going to figure out, I don't belong here. But one of my favorite quotes is that a smooth sea has never made a skilled sailor, and there's a lot of value to the struggle. When you're struggling, you're diving into the code, you're experimenting, you're researching, so there's so much value to it. So try to see it as a good thing. You do really grow a lot from the struggle. All right, and the 6 places where it kind of creeps in that we might not realize it is being afraid to ask questions. This is probably the most important one, really. Have the courage to ask the questions. You're afraid that if you ask a question, they're going to figure out that you're an imposter and you don't belong there and you don't know what you're talking about. That's not the case. You're just missing an opportunity to learn, and it builds a lot of trust. If you ask questions, the people that you're working with now know that you're going to ask questions and it's going to turn into great conversations, and just please ask the questions. Hesitating to give technical feedback. This is kind of related. You don't want to suggest an idea when someone's explaining a concept or a code review, whatever it is. You don't want to give your feedback because you just assume yours isn't as good, their way of doing it is better. Don't make that assumption. You should still give your technical feedback. It might turn into a whole change. You don't know. It might be great feedback. And even if it's not, it starts great conversations. Presenting to people as if they already know everything you know. This goes back to my feeling of every time I learned something, I didn't appreciate it as something new I learned. I felt like I was just catching up to everybody else. Try not to do that, because the person you're talking to might be afraid to ask questions too. So try to slow it down a little bit. Don't assume that you're the one that hasn't caught up to everybody else yet. Rushing to complete a project quickly. This is what causes the burnout. And I'm not saying that you don't have to do your job. I know that we have to create code and we have deadlines and all that, but just try to identify if it's you that's making you rush to complete it. Is there like actual external pressure, or is it just you that's making you feel like, I need to work these extra late hours to get this done? Asking for new responsibilities. This one's tough because if you feel like you're struggling, it's really hard to ask for more job. You don't want more responsibilities if you don't feel like you're doing a good job. Try to take cues from your coworkers and your boss. If they're all telling you that you're doing a wonderful job, you're probably doing a wonderful job. Don't let yourself hold yourself back. And not receiving compliments well. This one doesn't feel like a big deal, but it does miss an opportunity for connection when someone gives you a compliment. But that is a hallmark of imposter syndrome, is that you don't want to take the compliments, you don't think you deserve them. But I hope after hearing this little blurb that you now know that you do deserve compliments, you do belong here, and you're doing a great job, and you should give yourself more credit. And that's it. Thank you, everyone.